Have you ever wondered why students in recent time perform much better in UTME than ever before? I mean, since people who score 300 is something that is very common nowadays, and in fact, scoring 300 doesn't guarantee your chances of getting admission anymore because there are a lot more other people who scored above 300. But it was not always like this. If you are old enough to have written UTME some 8 to 10 years back, you are going to agree with me that seeing such high score we are seeing now is not the usual thing. Now, it makes me ask this question. Is it that the Jamb standard is reducing and Jamb is now easier? Or is it that the students are becoming more intelligent? Or are there some tips and tricks students have now that is unknown to people who wrote UTME in the past time? Okay, these are the actual questions I had that made me do some research. And the results I got from this research it blew my mind, and I know it's going to blow yours too. Actually, it's not going to blow your mind. It's pretty obvious. But if you are going to be sitting subsequent UTME, you could get 1 or 2 lessons from this video you could apply in your UTME that will make you perform much better than the people that have done it previously. And if you've written your UTME before, or you are not even writing UTME, I think this will also be a fun watch for you. Right, let's get into the video. First, let me try to answer this question. Is Jamb reducing its standard, or is the exam getting easier? I think to answer this question, there are some facts I need to state. The way UTME is right now is not exactly the same way it used to be. So let me tell you some of the changes that have been made. The first is that UTME was not always CBT. It used to be paper and pencil test, where you were given paper and a pencil to shade your answer, and a question paper, of course. And that was discontinued in 2013. You're going to agree with me that CBT has quite a lot of advantages over paper and pencil tests. I'm going to tell you some of the advantages. One is that paper and pencil test, it takes time. Shading takes time. And also, when you don't shade appropriately, you could lose the mark. You'll be using some OMR sheets which will be marked by machines. And once the machine don't understand what you've shaded, it's going to not mark it right for you. I think CBT has made the process more effective, not just for the examiner, but also for students. And in addition to this, I think introduction of CBT has drastically reduced malpractice rates in Jamb. The second change that's happened to Jamb is that the number of questions has reduced. Before there used to be 100 English question, 50 question in any of the 3 other subjects you chose. You're going to be writing 4 subjects, so that makes it 250 questions. But recent time, like now, the number of questions you are writing has reduced by close to half. So you're answering just 180 questions, 16 English, then 14 in the 3 other subjects, but you have 2 hours. When it was 250 questions, there was longer time allotted to the exam. But there's something about attention. Your attention, you cannot keep high attention for a very long period of time. And that's a disadvantage to the people that wrote in those days, because they are spending a lot of time in the exam, or by the time you spend some time doing some of the questions, your brain is already fatigued, and you have limited energy to spend on that exam. And I think it's a good thing that they actually reduce the number of questions, which obviously makes it easier for people that are writing UTME these days. And another thing which is quite subjective is that most people claim that when you solve the previous years of past questions and compare it with the recent years, like it's more difficult solving the previous years than the recent years. I admit the same. When I was also practicing past questions, I feel the older years are more difficult. But I feel the reason why the older years seem more difficult, or were apparently difficult, is because the curriculum has changed over the period of time, and we are used to the new or recent curriculum. So solving questions from the old curriculum is going to seem a little difficult compared to the recent curriculum. For science students, most of the science courses or subjects, the syllabus doesn't really change that much. But for someone that is writing literature, you see, literature text that was read in those days is different from that which is being read now. So you can get why those days seem a little more difficult. Now, putting all these 3 points into consideration, let me ask you again, do you think the UTME or the Jamb standard has reduced as the exam become easier? Let me hear what you think in the comment section before I say what I think about it. I would say the standard has not reduced, but it is much easier now to do very well in the exam if you know how to go about it. Now, the second big question is that are students getting more intelligent? So let's take a step back and look at it globally. So I checked a couple of research articles, and I'm not going to bore you with the whole detail, but there's evidence, or there has been evidence that intelligence has consistently been on the rise. The IQ has been on the rise, and people perform much better on IQ tests than before. If you take it as face value, it means human race is becoming more intelligent. By someone convincing research paper, which said that instead of really saying human being is getting more intelligent, we would say human being is getting more modern. We've created so much facility to make learning easier for us. But long story short is that humans have more resources. We have more things to be able to create even way more things, which make us appear apparently more intelligent. And this kind of apply to UTME too. I would say that we have more resources. We have many more resources for students to be able to use to pass exam way more than they used to before. Everything I'm going to be saying from this point to the end of the video is just has been summarized by the fact that we have more resources. We have more resources that will enable students to do extremely well in this exam. The only problem is that not every student have access to all these resources, and even some people have access to the resources, they're not going to utilize it well. I think this part is the important part for you if you are writing UTME in subsequent years. And let's get into it. The first thing is your secondary school or your secondary education. I didn't really pay much attention to this until I got into the University of Ibadan to study medicine. By the time I finished my secondary school, I had sincerely not learned enough to be able to score high enough to get into medical school. Most of the things I learned myself. Then getting into school, I interacted with classmates, and I realized that some of them had this thing very easy. The way UTME was like this almighty exam that I was reading all day and stuff. These people, their school had already trained them. They've been teaching them for this exam since like their SS1. Right now, I think we have more schools that understand these exams, because it's not just about acquiring knowledge, it is about preparing for each individual exam. And I think more teachers now know how to prepare their students for this kind of exams. And if someone attends such schools that are actually preparing the students, it's very easy to tell. It's going to be very easy for them. The issue is that most of these schools that employ very good teachers are quite unaffordable for most people. And I'm not arguing that cheap schools don't teach their students well. Yes, there are so many cheap schools that teach their students very well. But from my own observation, I think the more expensive schools are the ones that actually invest more in their students. And it's quite, not so great to me that many students have the potential of doing very well in these exams if they have someone to just guide them aright, if they have someone to just toss them in the right direction, if they have someone to just teach them well. And that's actually one of the things that's been pushing me to do many of these things I'm doing. I've been trying to also create a platform, and to be honest, it is hard. Now I doff my hat for people that are actually running a business and making it sustainable, because it's not easy. So what I've been trying to do all this while, which I've been doing, but I've not been able to sustain it because medical school is there and other things I gotta do. What I've been trying to do is create a platform that will enable, even if someone drops out from SS1, create a platform that we have curriculum where students can follow and they'll be motivated to follow through. And by the time they're done with this curriculum, they'll be able to sit for this exam and ace it very well. I'm actually still working on this thing, though I've not been able to create it the way I want it to be yet. But the point is to make quality education accessible to everybody. So if you're writing UTME, this coming UTME or subsequently, please, I'll put a Google form in the comment section. Please put your email, so I'm going to reach you when I launch something. Because I'm working on something right now. I think that's enough, and let's move on. Another reason why students perform much better now is because of the repeating pattern of the questions. The syllabus, the curriculum has not really changed in a while, and there's just a number of new questions you can set from the same syllabus. So it seemed like the questions are being reshuffled and being reused. If a student knows how to use your past question properly and how to use the syllabus properly, I can assure you that you're going to do very well in this exam. I'm going to make a video now to use the UTMA syllabus, in the Jamb syllabus. Actually, I've been planning on doing that, but this video is a reminder to make it. And lastly, I think there is just a lot more available resources. Internet has made life way easier. You know, you could download past questions online. You could use their CBT apps that will help you simulate the actual exam conditions and make you practice these things. There are articles, there are videos, you know, there are foreign videos, and I'm very impressed. I'm happy that even our own Nigerians are actually making educational videos that tailor to this particular exam you're writing, and it's easier, and it will keep on getting easier to get a very high score in your UTME. So the point or the takeaway from this video is that, well, it would be deceitful for me to say that it is easy or anyone can just easily score very high in these exams, because they are actually not easy. It requires a lot of knowledge, but with the right resources, information, motivation, and direction, I believe you can do very well in this exam. And I believe if you are still watching this video to this point, you are most likely writing the subsequent UTME, or you are just a fan of this channel. So I'm going to put the link again. I'm reminding you to put your email there. I'm going to send you how you can join when we launch this platform, and I'll see you. If you are new to this channel, I'm currently a 40 medical student of the University of Ibadan, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.